Hi, I'm Tracey Soltis.
And I'm Kali Alfaro. And you're listening to the Mind Body Studio, a place for anyone who wants to reach their full potential, thrive, and create a life filled with vitality.
Each week, we'll bring you our expertise, giggles, and a splash of quirky to explore real and relevant topics to help you along your life's journey.
We'll bring you science, psychology, and practicality to real life issues.
So, thanks for listening. We know you're going to love it.
Welcome, everyone.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good.
I love this. This is going to be interesting. All right, hit me. What is it?
So Tracey has no idea what we're going to talk about. And for those of you that have been listening to us for a little while, you know that she's an absolute planner. She normally has about 4 pages of notes.
I usually do, and so I'm well out of my comfort zone and element right now.
Absolutely no idea, and I would even be
sitting on the edge of my seat.
I think you're even sweating.
Woo! Yeah.
So I'm going to go totally off topic and talk about something a little bit abstract. And I want you, Tracey, to think about – actually, I want you to close your eyes.
Okay.
All right. Think about this, right?
Yeah.
Think about the fact that we are subatomic particles that are coming into being and dying off at absolutely inconceivable speeds. Numerous times coming into being and dissolving.
I'm constantly thinking of that, and I'm like, I can literally see all the subatomic particles like going in and going out of my body right now.
And imagine that we are constantly unstable because we're constantly changing, which means we are constantly unsteady and we are uncontrolled.
Yep.
And so what I want to discuss today is the concept of ever-changing.
Yeah,
transmuting, transforming, ever-changing.
Yeah, I love it. So how are you going to kick this off? Because I've got a visual in my head because obviously you know that this is not foreign to
What do you
me.
mean? How am I going to kick it off? It's already kicked off.
It's like a flow in and flow out of all my subatomic particles right now.
So
yes.
In a world that is so focused on the physical body, so focused on permanent things and linear time and thinking, I want to challenge everyone with the notion that we are just a bundle of tiny subatomic particles that are, it's almost like you are being birthed into existence and then in that same moment of birthing, you dissolve.
Yeah, but I mean, doesn't it blow your mind? Like you can see the physical right now, okay? Like you can see my hand. I'm holding my hands up. But if you really, really thought about it, I mean, your whole hand is made up of subatomic particles, right? And there's space in between all of those. And I'm moving my hand right now. So like all of that energy, because it's what it is, it's all energy, is actually moving around. It's not actually –
It's not solid.
It's not solid. It's not stuck together. There is space between all of this whole structure.
Right?
There's space between the clothing,
between
your
everything.
hair, like the air that you're like pushing around with your hand.
More than just the fact that there is space, it's being born.
Yeah.
That like subatomic particle comes into being.
Yeah.
Right? And in that moment, it's almost like the concept of the moment that you observe something, it changes.
Yeah,
right?
totally. Yep.
So in that moment that it comes into being, it dissolves.
Yeah. I know. How trippy is that?
So the reason I wanted to talk about this, and we have like this super tiny, short lightning speed episode today.
Oh, I love that lightning speed. Yep.
Is because so many of the grievances that we have as human beings are because we are attached to a difficulty with change. We are attached with notions of things. We expect things to happen at a particular time. But really, when you stop and you think about the big picture, the cosmos, everything is ever-changing. Everything is always transmuting, transforming, turning into something else. I am not the person I was when I first started this podcast. So I want you to think about how everything my vision just went really fuzzy. It's so funny. I want you to think about how everything is just in constant movement and transmutation.
Yeah, totally. I think that that's, for some of our listeners, this will be a really strange idea because they haven't really had to vibrate or think on this particular level as such. But once you have an understanding that the structure of your body, the structure of your atom, so to speak, is not actually a solid structure whatsoever. It's actually flowing. It's actually even a thought, for example. I mean, what is a thought? Okay, putting that out there. Like, what is that? Because that's just that's a flow of chemistry, a flow of energy, a flow of movement between different parts of the brain to other different parts of the brain.
It's just energy that's like electrically conducted from one place to another and then secretes a chemical and then we experience the sensation of it, right?
Uh-huh. Yep.
So what I want everyone that's probably tripping out listening to us to think about is nothing is permanent.
No.
If you find yourself in a situation that is challenging, the nature of life is that it is ever changing and transmuting and dissolving and being born and just moving all of the time. Nothing is ever permanent.
No.
Which is like a really great thing if you're in a challenging situation, and also sometimes can be a little bit of a daunting thing if you're in a beautiful situation, which brings me to wanting people to be so mindful and so grateful and so present with what you have, because you don't know how long that is going to last. And we are changing. We don't know where or who or what we are going to be in the future, or, even the concept of time is a bit of a, abstract concept.
Well, there is no concept. There is no time. So let's just go there, okay? Let's just go there and say there is actually no time, no space, no time.
Other than the present moment.
Exactly.
Right? So if the only thing we have is the present moment, and that is constantly changing, it is so incredibly to be consciously aware of where we are.
In time and space.
Yeah. Which doesn't exist.
Blowing. I know, right?
So I want you to think about applying this idea into any concept of your life. Think about a situation and understand that that situation no longer exists because you're not in it right now, and that if we are constantly changing and coming into being and dissolving, there's movement, and you can't ever be fully stuck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Even the thought that is on autopilot and repeating the negative thought that some people might have about themselves, about a situation, about a life, you're never actually stuck. It's always in constant movement. It's more the meaning that we assign to things that give it the value or the weight.
Yeah.
And that can change as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's the thought process and what we perceive as our experiences and perceptions of the world that dictate these thoughts moving forward. But when we truly reflect on that, we realize that there is nothing, there is no perception, there is no experience. It just is, right?
Absolutely. And one of the things that I find fascinating is a lot of you know that I go to the ocean every single morning at sunrise. It's been really stormy recently, so I haven't gone every single day, but I am absolutely blown away at how nature is always showing us how it constantly sheds and moves and grows and dies and transforms. And I look at the coast, and some days the storm has brought all of the sand back into the bay, and all of the rocks are covered, and there's all this beautiful soft white sand. And then you might go back the next day and all of these spiky big rocks are uncovered, and the swell is really big and there's not much beach left. So that is such a reminder that the earth is constantly changing. We look at trees, the tree is constantly changing. We are part of this. We are not separate from it, and we are in constant change and transformation.
And, well, that goes with aging, the physical that we can actually see, isn't it, from when we grow, as we grow up and as we change through the course of our life. The thing is that would we actually age if we realize that there is no such thing as aging, if we understood that we are just energy and we are just light and we are just part of this whole universal thing that's happening here, and there's lots of space between all of the atoms in my hands that I'm showing you right now. I mean, are we aging because we think we're aging and that's a cognitive process? Or
I'm not aging.
I'm not aging.
Stop that idea. I'm just getting younger and more vital every day.
If we decided to be younger, would we become younger?
Ooh.
If we decided to, what would happen then? Or are we diseased or sick because we believe we're diseased or sick? Or is it true that we are actually diseased or sick? Interesting, right? Yeah. So, I mean, you can see how the mind has control over the matter so much so that people can talk themselves into, for example, like anxiety, for example. That's a clear one of, the feelings of anxiety and what that looks like and how you feel and think and are at the time. But you can stop that process at any point when you choose to stop that process. Is that the same for all of the other functions in our body? And how does that look and how does that work?
They're all very good questions. So we're going to leave our listeners with this idea that everything is ever changing, that we are in constant transformation, and that there is huge power in being able to step back and go, wow, everything is just constantly evolving. And once again, bring your consciousness to awareness, to the foreground. And how do I want to be? Who do I want to be in the face of this ever-changing existence that we are in?
What do I choose?
Yeah.
What is my choice? Because we all have a choice to make. We can choose to show compassion. We can choose to be loving beings. We can choose to be kind to others, or we can choose to exert hatred and anger and negativity as well. And so everything is a choice in some ways. And so what does that look like for you? So anyway, we're going to leave you with all of that, and enjoy the rest of your day.
We hope that this has at least activated different parts of your brain to question. Questioning is a really healthy thing. Questioning your perspective and being open to ideas. This is how we grow. This is how we evolve. So go for gold. And if you have any comments or questions, as always, we're always welcome them. So please send them through, and have an absolutely beautiful day wherever you are.
Yes. Ciao. Bye-bye.
The information, views and opinions expressed on this podcast should not be used or treated as a substitute for nutritional, medical, psychological or other advice by a qualified health professional. Hosts and guests on the podcast express their own opinions, experiences and conclusions. Nothing in the podcast should be used to diagnose, treat, cure or prevent any medical condition. The podcast is not intended to replace any medical or mental health treatment. All information and advice provided is for general well-being and does not take individual cases into consideration. Neither Tracey Saltis, Kali Alfaro, or any sponsor endorse the opinions, views or conclusions expressed or shared on the podcast. Tracey Saltis and Kali Alfaro take no responsibility for any symptoms or consequences as a direct or indirect result of the podcast.